Hey guys, welcome to our Hindu analysis today. One very important article on today's Hindu paper is Wrong on the Rohingya. This article is at the backdrop of the India's repatriation of some Rohingyas. It comes into controversy when United Nations Convention for Refugee, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee Convention has asked report from India for her action for the repatriation of Rohingya from India, where India has not decided to accept those infiltrators. You cannot say infiltrators. That it comes at the situation when India has not recognized the legitimacy of Rohingyas in Indian land. So it has twofold points here. That one is for means what India has given reason for not acceptance of the Rohingyas. What is India's reason? That India says that India is not a party of United Nations Convention of Refugee 1951 and its Protocol 1967. India is not a party. India has not signed the Refugee Convention 1951 and Refugee Protocol 1967. So India is not bounded by Refugee Convention's provisions. Right? This reason has been given by India. But what is the against? Against means what? Whether India should do or why India has not done it on a reasonable basis. What are the against provisions? For the against, we can say that the Indian Constitution has provided humanitarian grounds, provided some rights to all persons, whether he is a citizen or whether he is a sinful person. Here you have to try to find out the citizen or person. You have to differentiate on these things. Both are not same as per under Indian Constitution. So you see what are the against reasons we can give. That Indian Constitution and thereby India's liability to protect refugees. That Indian Constitution has some provisions which have equally protected citizens and other persons. So this is India's liability to protect refugee. We'll see it later how Indian citizen has protected both. Respect for human rights. India is a party to the United Nations Convention on Human Rights. So this respect to refugee comes from the liability of Human Rights Convention. Moral and humanitarian ground. India's we can give it a reason against then moral and humanitarian ground. One country like India should not repatriate Rohingyas or refugees. Respect for international treaty. In this 21st century, every country is internationally related. Respect as a democratic country, India should respect to international treaty like Refugee Convention. So as a whole, from Main's point of view, what you have to find out that Indian Constitution and its protection to citizens and persons. It is important from both pre and Main's point of view. You can find question in pre which of the following right is only provided to citizen. Which of the following rights are provided to citizen and other persons equally. What are the court judgment regarding the refugee or regarding the protection of citizen as well as person. Here I am telling repeatedly that citizen and person, the words here are different. Both are not same. United Nations Convention on Human Rights, what are the basic principles? Whether India should sign Refugee Convention, what are the political, economic and humanitarian grounds on this thing? Whether India should need a particular political framework regarding refugee, these are the fodder material for thought. You can think on these provisions and prepare your own notes. Now let's see some common grounds. The causes of refugees. We all know that human trafficking, war, disaster and international conflicts are some causes of refugees. Refugee Convention 1951 and its Protocol 1967 has a principle, it is called non-refoulement principle. What this principle says that a refugee should not be returned to a country where they face serious threats to their life and freedom. And India is not a party to the convention or protocol related with this refugee. And I have already told that Indian Constitution has protected both the citizens and other persons as well, right? So let's see what are the provisions of Indian Constitution which has protected both citizens and other persons. Before going to that, we can say that India is a signatory to United Nations Convention on Human Rights, and Article 14 of the United Nations Convention on Human Rights says that everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. That means if any person is facing a threat in his country, then he has a right to seek asylum in another country. This Article 14 from United Nations Convention on Human Rights has said that. So we can say that on this ground, we have already discussed that what reasons we can give against India's action. So it is also a reason that India is a signatory to United Nations Convention on Human Rights, and so India should not do this repatriation out of the liability from Human Rights Convention and as well as on moral and humanitarian ground. So apart from this, Article 51 and Article 51 Part C, both these articles of Indian Constitution actually favors both citizens as well as person, because Article 51 of the Indian Constitution imposes obligation on the state to endeavor to promote international peace and security. Article 51C says that promotion of respect for international law and treaty obligations. So under this guidance, we can say that India should respect also Refugee Convention, and India should take humanitarian ground on refugee incidents, on recent refugee incidents. Besides this, fundamental rights has given right to equality. Under fundamental rights, right to equality, right to life, and right to personal liberty have been provided to citizens as well as other persons equally. Here, another very important provision is National Human Rights Commission versus State of Arunachal Pradesh 1996. Supreme Court says, here every word is very important, that Indian Constitution confers rights on every human being and certain other rights on citizens. Every person is entitled to equality before law and equal protection of. Here it is not citizen, every person, means regardless of Indian citizen or not, this equality before law and equal protection of law is applicable to everyone. No person can be deprived of his life or personal liberty except procedure established by law. State is bound to protect life and liberty of every human being, whether citizen or otherwise, means So even Supreme Court guidelines says that India should protect everyone on humanitarian basis, on legal basis, whether he is citizen or not. Till now we have said that we have considered the demerits mainly, that why India should not do. But there are some concerns also which are not mentioned in the article, but in writing answers in the exam, we have to consider all these things. For India's concern, it will create increased population, pressure on domestic resources, upset of existing socio-political terrorism, right? And besides this, India has given, but at the background of Rajiv Gandhi assassination cases, it is said that India has forcibly repatriated many Sri Lankan Tamils, and this is a scar on the Indian history of refugee, it is generally said. But besides this, India has given place to many of the refugees, for example, Buddhist Chakmas from Bangladesh, Bhutanese from Nepal, many persons from Somalian, Sudan, African, and Sri Lankan, Tibetan. So as a whole, you have to consider all these things in your analysis here in your own note. Then another two important articles. I am not going to discuss these articles in detail because the video will be very long. So I will just point out the main concerns, main provisions, main guidelines. With the help of them, you will read the article. Fundraiser to secure 96 elephant corridors. This is an important article. You can consider it as an effort of civil society to preserve wildlife. How it will eliminate? It can eliminate man-animal conflict. From prelims point of view, what is Asian Elephant Alliance? What are the alliance parties of this initiative? Try to find out this thing. Another important article: two-thirds of Himalayan ice cap may melt. This is important article, that if the Himalayan ices are melted, What will be the impacts on India's river drainage, pollution, agriculture, and environment? What should be the international effort to prevent this ice melting? Try to find out these things from these two articles. I'll come with objective type questions and solutions in my next video from today's current affairs. So till then, be tuned with our channel and take care and bye bye.